believe ECU?
R.
Do you believe purple and gold?
Are you ready to hoist the colors?
Hoist the colors!
It's time for the most in-depth look into the world of ECU athletics. Welcome to Hoist the Colors with your host, Stephen Igo on 94.3 The Game.
Watch the show live on Facebook
and at 943thegame.com. Here's Stephen Igo.
Welcome in. It is Hoist the Colors on a Thursday. It is game day for East Carolina baseball. The final series of the regular season will get underway tonight. Yes, it is Thursday through Saturday because of the conference tournament starting next midweek on Wednesday. And so we're going to get into maybe a little bit of baseball by the end of the show, but today is going to be a big basketball show. Yes, the Pirates have overhauled their roster. Their scholarship numbers are complete. They may still add another walk-on, but we have enough information now. We can dive in, assess this thing, evaluate it, grade it if we want to, hand out some superlatives. We've been kind of tracking the progress for Michael Schwartz and his coaching staff, and I think they've done a phenomenal job. So we're going to dive into each player on the roster that we expect to play this year, expectations, and go through what we like, maybe what we would like to see different, if anything, and a whole lot more over the next hour. The comment sections are open on YouTube, Facebook, and X. If you got something to say, drop it there in the chat. Lane Smith, unsurprisingly, is not fired up about some basketball talk. But hey, Lane, it is May 14th. The Pirates are 0-0, and they have just as much hope as anybody. And we already got complaints this week about too much baseball talk. We talked some football. It's time to talk some hoops, man. Let's get into it. He is strangely optimistic about the baseball Pirates, though, and feels like they're going to make a run. So we'll see. He was that way last week. It didn't quite pan out. Philip Pilkington back in the 94.3 The Game studios. He's producing today. Philip, I'm excited to talk some basketball because I am a believer, for the most part, in this recruiting class for Mike Schwartz and the staff. We'll get into the specifics, but to me, they've done enough work for us to really dive in and kind of evaluate this thing the right way.
I think they have. This looks like it is coming together as a roster should. I feel like last year you just kind of felt like they threw a bunch of guys, on paper, just recruited, in their eyes, the best available player at times, instead of putting together a roster that looked like, a college basketball competitive roster. I think we were talking about a pre-show, there are different ways to attack how you want to do things this year, and they have given themselves ample opportunities depending on who they're playing, what style of teams that they are playing, to go out there with different lineups. And that's not that you're, playing your 12th guy. He's a 12th guy in one game and he's your starter in another. But out of the 8 to 9 guys you expect to be on the floor, you do have differing styles, you have differing abilities, and you have different ways that you can handle the offense, different ways you can handle the defense that you think match up for you the best. And for anyone who is upset that we are talking basketball today, I do want to remind people tonight, a special edition of Squeeze Play for college baseball. They've never done it in the regular season before. Will be on, and East Carolina will be one of the teams featured in it. So you can dual screen the Pirates and all the college baseball you want. So for anybody who wants college baseball, there you go.
I did see that tweet, and man, I love Squeeze Play, especially when we're off covering regionals and we can have that on in the press box, and I'm hoping that that's the case this year, so we can follow the rest of the action along with the Pirates. But 6:30 first pitch, you can also hear, turn on Squeeze Play and then cue up Dylan Johnson 94.3 The Game in your earbuds, and that way you can get the best of both worlds.
There you go.
Tonight. All right, so the ECU basketball offseason, just kind of a quick rundown, then we'll dive into each of these players. Just to kind of set the stage here, ECU has 3 returning scholarship players from last year. Jay Shane Woodard, Dahi Quinn, who missed last year with an injury, Eli DeLaurier. They added 6 transfers via the portal exclusively. Sion Medley from Kent State, Bryson Blaine, Charleston Southern, Caden Cooper, Louisiana Tech, Kasim Watson, UTEP, Jordan Buchanan from the Division II ranks, and Trevor Best from Arizona State. They also added 1 JUCO transfer, Matthew Hinton, a big, an international player, Maxime Klitschko. We talked about him last week after he committed. He'll come in 21 years old, so not really a high school signee, even though he'll start as a freshman. Who knows with this whole age eligibility thing about to be passed, how many years he'll have left. They also added 2 prep signees, point guard / combo guard Ashton McCullough out of the LA area in California, and then Draylon Creasy out of Virginia, 4-star wing. So 6 transfers, 7 if you count the JUCO, 3 incoming, technically, prep / international signees, and then 3 returners. That gives you 13 scholarship players. They will also have a couple walk-ons. So let's just dive right in, Philip, kind of go player by player here. We'll start here at segment 1 with the transfers, guys we especially expect to make an impact. And I'm going to start with Bryson Blaine. He's kind of the headliner on paper. If you just look at the raw numbers, he came from Charleston Southern, was one of their big initial pickups, 6'5", 205-pound guard, a high-volume shooter, high-volume scorer. Had visits planned to NC State and Utah. He was definitely being recruited by those programs. I don't know what the priority level was. I think the chance to come to ECU kind of be the number 1 option or number 2 option, depending on how things break, was attractive to him. Spent time at James Madison, spent time at JUCO, and then last year, big breakout season at Charleston Southern. Had a breakout game at ECU where he had a double-double, 23 points, 12 rebounds. I think the thing I like most about Blaine, yes, he's a high-volume player. He takes a ton of shots. He averaged 17.2 points per game, 7.2 rebounds per game. He shot 40% from the field on 350 attempts. He shot 35% from three-point range on 217 attempts, 79% from the line. 77 assists. He did have 80 turnovers, but he can handle the ball. He had multiple games with 8 assists. I'm seeing a couple 6-assist games here. So he can handle the ball, takes a ton of threes, and he's just going to be a volume shooter. My question is, how do they make him maybe a little bit more efficient, Philip? But I think this is probably if you had to pencil it in today, probably your number 1 go-to scorer, just because he can score in so many different ways.
Yeah, he can. And as to making it more efficient, how you do it is you put a good supporting cast around him. You don't make him feel like he has to take over a basketball game. And I'm not going to sit here and act like I watched a handful of Charleston Southern basketball games last year, because I didn't. So I don't know what the supporting cast was around. But anytime you want to shirt up a guy and his ability, his efficiency when it comes to scoring, when he already has the ability to score, is just make him feel like his scoring is a part of the game and not the only part of the game. So if he knows that when he drives, there's an opportunity to pass, or if he catches the ball on the wing, there's an opportunity to swing because there is another guy who can shoot the ball, then that's how you have to do it. But I love the fact that he's a true combo guard. This reminds you of R.J. Felton in a lot of ways, right? He can run the point, he can facilitate, but also can score, and probably a little bit better of it. Well, definitely a better shooter than R.J. Felton. Maybe not quite the physical presence inside, but still, this is the kind of guy that you want to be your go-to guy throughout the majority of the season. And this was a huge pickup for ECU, I think.
And you compare him, obviously Jordan Riley was a phenomenal scorer last year. He was not the most efficient, and he didn't have a great supporting cast around him. He shot 42% from the floor on 587 field goal attempts. He also had 74 assists, but that was in a grand total of 1,135 minutes. Blaine last year had 77 assists in 705 minutes. So, 400-minute difference plus there, had more assists, and to me is just maybe a little bit better facilitator, guy to run the offense through. As much as we love Jordan, he had to be the number 1 scorer, but maybe he wasn't the best option. He just had to be, and he was great, but not the most efficient guy. All right, next up, Sion Medley, Kent State transfer. One of the things I like most about Medley is he comes from a winning program. He was at St. Louis to start his career. He comes from a team that won 24 games last year in the MAC. Has really improved his numbers year over year in his 2 years at Charleston Southern. Set the program record for assists with 212 last year. He's your classic ball distributing point guard, 5'10", 5'11" guard. Does play some good on ball defense. The size is a concern. He did average 10.5 points per game last year. The one thing I want to see out of Sion again, he was surrounded by some pretty good players last year at Kent State. Still didn't shoot the best, 34% from the field, 32% from three. He took a lot of shots. They're going to have to find him. With him and Bryson, I just don't want them taking all the shots. I like them both, and that's to me like one of my early things is like you have some good guys at the 3 and the 4 to play with, Medley and Blaine, and I'm just curious how it all goes. But Medley is your pure point guard. I would assume he's your starting point guard from day one.
I think so, and I think when we do a little deeper dive, when we get farther down the roster, we'll realize there are some wings that can really drive, that will have opportunities for these guys maybe to take more open shots and less forced shots. So I do like that. What I like about Medley too, he's kind of the opposite of Jay Woodard from a body type, right? They've got the similar skill set in the fact that you really love their own ball defense. They seem like hustle guys. They're blue-collar guys. They're guys that fit the Mike Schwartz mold, but you can do the opposite. You can go to the kind of oversized point guard that, when you need the length, and then you've got the shorter guy in Medley when you need to get in and out, and be small and drive around the defense. So I just think that they could complement each other well. They can allow you to come out and give different looks depending on who's running the point. Pair that with why am I drawing a blank? We just talked about him with Blaine. And those three guys, they all are kind of different, but you feel like they can accomplish the same team goals back there and play off of each other really well. So I think Medley is a great addition. I don't mind the undersized point guard, especially when you already have the bigger guy in a guy like Jay.
Yeah, and to me, like just from talking with people, seems like a guy who really gets along with his teammates, kind of a team leader. And like ECU just didn't have that dog at the point guard position last year. And I think Medley, even if he's not the most efficient, biggest guy in the world, he's going to bring some it factor. And like to me, that matters if you're handling the ball almost full time. One of the reasons ECU got Kasim Watson, the stretch 4 transfer from UTEP, is because of Sion Medley. Kasim Watson grew up in Philly. Medley, a native of New Jersey. These two guys played travel ball together growing up. Watson was also recruited by UAB, UNLV, some other really good schools. He's a 6'8", 190-pound stretch 4, not like a banger in the paint, kind of like I'd probably say similar to a Brandon Johnson skill set. Not as good of a rebounder, probably a little bit better of a shooter, at least compared to maybe Brandon. Brandon had to develop into a shooter. Kasim probably already kind of a proven shooter. He shot last year for UTEP 38.2% on 5 attempts per game from three-point range. So he's mainly a stretch 4. He is efficient when he gets to the line. He averaged around 5 rebounds a game. To me, he's not going to be like a physical 4, but he's a guy who probably is in the starting lineup. At worst, one of the top guys off the bench. And anytime you can have a guy who's going to step out, make you honor that corner 3, Phillip, add some rebound, add some length, I'm a huge fan of Kasim Watson.
I am, but Mike Schwartz, in order to play his brand of basketball, you have to be a little more physical inside, especially on the defensive side of the ball. Look, if he is not that on the offensive side of the ball, that's fine. If you can play a team that does have 2 true bigs in the game, a little slower, a little bigger, he can really create some mismatches for you offensively. But where you worry is that defensive side of the ball once they run down to the other end of the court. If he is a little more undersized at only 6'8" and not as physical of a guy. So I think if he can step up that physicality defense-wise and continue to be what he is offensively, he could really be a matchup nightmare for some of the teams in this league. But again, you do not want him to be good on the offensive end and then you're sacrificing stuff on the defensive end because of his size. So that's my one really worry with him.
Yeah, 12.5 points, 5 rebounds per game, only 10 block shots, so like more of a perimeter player for a stretch 4, and we'll see how that develops as he comes to ECU. Speaking of defense, probably, and we'll get to our favorite addition later, but one of my top guys is Caden Cooper. One outlet had him ranked as the top defensive wing in the country. And it's not like he can't contribute on offense. He started his career at Oklahoma, where he was a big-time recruit, spent the last 2 years at Louisiana Tech. 6'6" wing, can play multiple positions. Last year for the Bulldogs, 29 games, 10 starts, 9.7 points per game, 5.6 boards per game. Really good athlete, length. Not the best shooter, around 30% the last 2 years. But he can step out and knock down a 3 every now and then. 47% from the field overall. So if he gets to the rim, he can finish. But to me, this is like this was one of the line item things ECU had to get was a lockdown defender that could take multiple positions and contribute on offense. Like, this is a major upgrade over, let's say if you would have brought Travion LeBeau back instead of this guy, you would have had maybe a good defender, not as long, not as versatile, and not as much offensively. I think this was a big-time addition, Caden Cooper from La Tech.
Steven, if Minji's Coliseum truly is cursed and all these other guys that we brought in will not be able to shoot, even though they're historically good shooters, he will save the day. We have a true athletic to-the-basket scorer, one that has been the true if you look at the success that we've had under Mike Schwartz, it's been to the basket athletic scorers. We know this is one of the times in Minji's Coliseum that the ball is allowed to go in the hoop. So if all else fails, he will be our guy and be the guy we have to lean on him to take us to the promised land and take us to a winning record in conference play. I love this addition.
Big fan of Caden Cooper. Big fan also of the first commit of this class, Division II transfer, Jordan Buchanan, 6'5" guard, mainly a shooter, I thought, but as you dive more into the tape, JPR Scouting released this the other day on Twitter, said, quote, Jordan Buchanan is a nice ad for ECU. 5.1 ratings per minute in one of the best D2 leagues in the nation. Basically, he's worth 5 points per game for his team. 40% from three-point range, 70% clip conversion rate at the rim, 20% usage rate. So got a lot of shots up and was efficient. Quick release on the jumper, can get to his spots. A real length on defense, didn't foul a ton either. So it's always hard to, we've hit on this. It's hard to know how this guy's going to translate. He did play at one of the better D2 leagues in the country. And from talking to him, doing an interview, he has a chip on his shoulder. He's probably not going to start, but I like this ad from hey, is he going to be another Dimitri Gardner or even better than that?
I think so. Look, this is one of those guys that, again, when he profiles so well in defense, he's going to be one of the guys that Coach Schwartz wants in crucial moments and to be a part of the rotation. But I think this is one of the guys we need to be patient with. Yes, he was at one of the better D2 leagues, but it's still a different speed. I don't think it's going to take as long as maybe Corey Cocker coming from the JUCO ranks, but it's still going to take a little bit of time. And, as long as his head is in the right place and if he does struggle early, he doesn't implode mentally, and, oh, man, this stinks. This is, I'm not adapting to the speed and all that. As long as he keeps his head in the right spot, eye on the prize, I think this is a guy can be a good rotational piece for you. I don't think this is a guy you want with the ball in his hands in clutch time, but I definitely think if you got a 9-man rotation, he's probably a part of it.
All right, we have one more transfer to hit. Let's go ahead and get a break in, Philip. We'll come back because I've got a decent amount to say on the newest signee, Trevor Best from Arizona State, a native of Wilson, North Carolina. We'll dive into him, what he could potentially bring to the table, also get into what the rest of this recruiting class adds to ECU. We'll continue that conversation next.
You know what the problem is with standard belts? Usually you have to choose between too tight or the opposite, too loose. But with Anson Belt and Buckle, you don't have to choose. We got rid of the holes and instead have a track system designed for micro-adjustability. That way you can enjoy a perfect fit every time. Anson Belt and Buckle. Find your perfect fit today.
Healthwise Pharmacy rounds the bases with all of your infusion, retail, compounding, and medical equipment needs. Locally owned and operated by pharmacist Marcy Parker, Healthwise has grown to be your most trusted provider for infusion services. Currently providing in-home or on-site infusions in North Carolina, South Carolina, and Virginia. Visit Healthwise Pharmacy at 615B South Memorial Drive or call 252-295-0059 to speak to a patient service representative to find the option that best suits your needs.
The best
In this age of globalization, we've learned that bigger isn't always better. Ever tried to get phone help from a big corporation from a real person? Right. That's what's so nice about Phelps Chevrolet. After more than 50 years serving our community, Phelps remains family-owned and operated. Mike, Daryl, Wave, West, Alan, and Clay deliver hometown service and integrity, same as always. They share your experience, they share your values, and they are ready to help with any motoring need. Come get you one.
Daughtridge Gas and Oil has been your dependable propane supplier for 95 years. Their trained technicians can service and properly install all your propane and natural gas appliances. Plus, Daughtridge Gas and Oil is your backyard expert with fire pits, grills, smokers, and more, including quality outdoor furniture at their Greenville Patio and Hearth Shop at 1901 Charles Boulevard. Go by and see the knowledgeable staff at Daughtridge Gas and Oil for propane delivery or call 756-1345.
You have a choice when you invest in insurance, and when you choose First State Insurance Advisors, you're working with people you can trust. Clark Stallings has deep ties in the community. His team, including Keaton Smith, Regina Asby, Phil Leyva, Max Joyner Jr., Max Joyner III, and Ginger Smith, provides knowledgeable and professional advice. First State Insurance Advisors is an independent insurance agency. They offer all types of personal insurance as well as various types for business. Call or email First State Insurance Advisors today. We want to be your trusted choice agency.
Oh, hey, welcome back. You got here just in time. This is Hoist the Colors on 94.3 The Game.
All right, welcome back in Thursday. Kind of a special show today. Obviously, we've got Pirate Baseball coming up this evening. We've talked about that a lot. We're getting into more basketball talk today now that ECU has filled out what will likely be its roster for the coming season, at least from a scholarship perspective, big name perspective on the men's basketball front. And we're kind of running through what to expect from these guys, this team. We've hit the first 5 transfers. We'll hit now number 6, Philip Pilkington, with us as well as we're breaking this thing down. Trevor Best is the name that was released the other day that has signed with ECU. Wilson, North Carolina native, so I'm a fan of that. Played at Word of God Christian Academy. Interesting case. You look at his raw numbers and you're like, all right, what is this guy going to bring to the table? 3.6 points per game as a freshman, 1.3 points per game last year. Really didn't get to play much at all last year. Was one of the lone returning starters or players for Arizona State, Bobby Hurley, who eventually got fired at the end of the season. But Best, he left high school early, middle of the year in 24-25, enrolled at Arizona State as a true freshman mid-year, young true freshman, and actually played a lot down the stretch. Now, it was a bad team, but I'm encouraged by this stretch, Philip. The last 7 games, or maybe it is 6. Yeah, I'm counting now. I can't do math. He played 24 minutes against BYU and scored the first points of his career on February 26, 2025. 18 points. And really the first extensive action. That was a ranked BYU team, by the way. Played 28 minutes at Utah, scored 7 points. Played 18 minutes at Arizona, scored 6 points. Got 19 minutes, went 0 for 3 that game against Texas Tech. Kansas State, played 13 minutes, 3 points. Nebraska, 27 minutes, 6 points on 3 of 7 shooting. 6 of 15, 40% from 3. 13 of 32, 40% from the floor. Not the biggest sample size, but those teams there, BYU, Utah, Arizona, Texas Tech, Kansas State, Nebraska. You know, he at least produced against real teams as a, 17, 18-year-old freshman. Now, I think from my understanding, he got recruited over last year. Arizona State, Hurley was coaching for his job. You know, they had some good guard play, still didn't do good enough to keep his job. But, like, this is not a guy I'm counting on, but I'm intrigued. And if you look, this is one you have to look a little deeper than just what the raw numbers say.
This is the kind of guy you take, Steven, when you got one spot left. When you feel good about your team, and it's like, hey, are we going to take a guy who's going to 100% sit on the end of the bench? Or are we going to take a guy who maybe if he reaches his ceiling could be the 3rd or 4th best player on the team? And I think that's what this is, right? Like, if he ends up becoming not part of that 9-man rotation, well, seems like you already had your 9-man rotation set anyways. It is what it is. Sometimes you miss. But the opportunity, like you said, to potentially have a guy who can be a solid contributor is there, so I like this, man. I think this is a great last portal addition. It's not one of the guys you want to take at the beginning, but you took him on, May the 12th? Was it Tuesday that we signed him, I think? Maybe it was Monday. Maybe it was the 11th. So, yeah, no, that's a good signing.
6'3" combo guard, probably more of an off-ball guard, but can play on ball as well. All right, JUCO transfer. This was the guy they got before the international commitment. We'll talk about right after him. Matthew Hinton, 6'9", pretty big post player, 245 just in terms of like width. Not the tallest guy in the world, but Played at a good JUCO, Mississippi Gulf Coast Community College, 10.9 points, 6.5 boards, 1.4 blocks per game, 62.5% from the floor, 62% from the line, 0 3-point shots. So he's not a shooter. He's a basically undersized post player in terms of height, but more of a physical, I would say, big guy who can block some shots. So, you compare him, and we can just go ahead and throw out Maxime Klitschko with him because I think you kind of throw these two guys together. Klitschko coming over, obviously, from the Monaco League where he played for Espoirs Monaco and really had a good offseason. 13 points per game, 6.4 rebounds per game, 1.4 assists, nearly a block a game, 68% from the floor, 7'1", 240, taller, probably not as bulky, but 21 years old. So both these guys are older. You just, JUCO and international, you don't really know what you're getting here, Phillip, but I do like that they took two, and I like that they kind of each profile a bit differently.
They do, and you almost wonder, like with Hinton only being 6'9", does he more profile as a power forward here? Do you have him be your more physical presence if you want a more physical presence in the game, and then maybe Watson be your stretch guy if you want, more of that, more of that step it out, stretch the floor kind of thing per game. However, I would guess Delorier will probably start at the 4 though, and he will be the backup 5. I just think when you do put him on the court though, you want him on the court with one of the more experienced older guys because the game will be, a little fast for him early, probably be a little more physical than what he's used to, even though he's a physical guy. I would want him on the floor with a Delorier or with a Klitschko as opposed to maybe putting the two transfers on the floor together. That might be, especially early. You got one guy coming up, and he's coming from UTEP at least, but he's not your biggest guy. He's going to stretch the floor a little bit, and then a guy who's maybe a little undersized. I just don't like that combo there together, but I do like the combo of him and Klitschko. At least Klitschko's playing pro ball. I mean, like you said, I guess the Monaco team's probably in the French league, if I had to guess. I know that's how it is for soccer. Obviously, Monaco's a really small country, so they could have their own league, but I'm guessing like the French league. So, that's not a bad league over there. It's not like we're getting this guy from, Uzbekistan or something. Like, he was playing some legit Western European basketball where they do, prioritize the bigs. They've got a lot of size and they're used to, playing, the stereotypical European style of basketball.
Yeah, he's played. He even went to prep school in the States here at the Taft School. So he spent some time here and then went back overseas, obviously, and finishing up, I guess. I guess you'd call it his pro career there before coming to college. It's kind of crazy how this works. But, two older bigs, just not D1 experience, which I do like. All right, and then the prep route, ECU signed 2 here to kind of fill out its roster. Draylon Creasy's been committed since the fall. He is a 4-star recruit per 24/7 Sports. Basically kind of a wing who is more of a shooter from what I gather, 6'7", 6'8" range, length, athletic. Shot 38% from three-point range at least each of the last 3 seasons at Blue Ridge in Virginia. So shooter coming in. They also added Ashton McCullough. Not a ton of information at all about Ashton. He's a 6'2", 6'3" guard. Another guy who can play backup point guard, played for a good prep school in California and was kind of under the radar. But I would expect Creasy maybe to impact the team as a wing, especially if he can shoot the ball. McCullough, but you just never know with these freshmen, Phillip. So I don't count on them per se, but Creasy with his recruiting pedigree, the fact he's been committed a while, I will be at least watching him in the preseason, see if we hear anything.
According to 247 Sports, he's the number 132 national recruit. He's the first 4-star recruit in the history of East Carolina basketball. So I get maybe not counting on him, especially with some of these older guys coming in. But I think if this team wants to be successful, he's got to be a vital part of this. Truthful upside, it's probably, I would say, between him and between Cooper is probably your best upside guys on this roster. One of those two guys is going to have to hit and really have to produce at that wing position in order for this team to go out there and have a winning record in the league.
Yeah, that's a good point because, obviously you can play Jay Shane at the wing, but I don't think he's good enough of a shooter to really kind of stretch the floor there, space the floor. And your 3 returners, Jay Shane, Woodard, Dahi Quinn, both those guys coming off injury. In many ways, Eli DeLaurier also coming off an injury. He was banged up throughout the season. All these guys are X factors, but especially Jay Shane and Dahi. I think Eli is going to be just a solid, depth piece, and maybe there's more to his game. But we don't know what to expect from Dahi at all. We haven't seen him play, haven't seen him really practice because he's been hurt. Jay Shane is the guy they were counting on to make a huge leap last year. Never got the chance, Phillip. So what is his role this year? I mean, we can get more into this later this offseason. He can play point if necessary. He can play anywhere down to the 4. He's 6'7". He can do a little bit of everything. And they were expecting like a stat sheet stuffing type season from Jay Shane. Just never happened. So maybe he's just one of those guys. You figure out the rest, and then you plug him in where you need.
I think that's exactly what happens. And I think the only reason they were wanting him to take the big step in the scoring department was because who else was there going to be after Jordan Riley? When we look at this roster, maybe Jay Shane can not necessarily have to score the basketball. I mean, yeah, you always want more of a scoring threat, but he can be the guy that he was, which is the guy who dives for loose balls, the guy who plays really good defense, the guy who guards 1 through 4, and the guy who, even if he's not the true facilitator, just keeps flow within the offense. He's a guy that it seems like if the offense needs to be slowed down, he can catch the ball and calm everybody down. If the offense needs to be sped up, he can be the guy who can bring the juice. But I think you're 100% spot on, Steven. You don't know what these other guys are. You know what Jay Woodard can be. Jay Woodard is the ultimate team player. Jay Woodard will do what Mike Schwartz asks him to do and what the team needs him to do. You put together your depth chart without Jay Shane Woodard in it, and then you go, hey, where's the hole? All right, cool, Jay. Yeah, we need you to go out there and do that. And you know what? He's going to do it to the best of his ability.
No doubt, and a guy who profiles as team captain, team leader, great young man, and I think will be a vital piece in the locker room and on the court as well. So, hey, I like how it's shaping up. There are your 13 scholarship players. We ran through them there. We'll dive deeper in as this offseason commences. On the other side, we're going to hand out some early offseason superlatives. Phillip and I will go through who our favorite recruiting pickup is. Who do we think will lead the team in score? 6th man, who's that going to be? Obviously, we kind of have to project the starting lineup to do that. Biggest sleeper of the group. And will this team finish in the top 200 in three-point percentage in the country for the first time in over a decade? Yes, it's been that long. We'll discuss all that next.
This is about you, your family, and the health of all who live in Eastern North Carolina. This is about the transformation of a health system into something more powerful and more human. About creating new ways to treat disease and keep you well. This is about ECU Health, which is to say, it's really all about you. ECU Health. Minds, hearts, purpose.
You have a choice when you invest in insurance, and when you choose First State Insurance Advisors, you're working with people you can trust. Clark Stallings has deep ties in the community. His team, including Keaton Smith, Regina Asby, Phil Leva, Max Joyner Jr., Max Joyner III, and Ginger Smith, provides knowledgeable and professional advice. First State Insurance Advisors is an independent insurance agency. They offer all types of personal insurance as well as various types for business. Call or email First State Insurance Advisors today. We want to be your trusted choice agency.
Acre Station Meat Farm, along with Lane Angus Beef, bring you Farm to Fork Beef.
Stock your freezers now with affordable beef boxes, just in time for the grilling season.
Farm to Fork Beef brings quality local beef to your family. From your traditional butcher shop, Acre Station Meat Farm. Come on down to Acre Station Meat Farm and find out why we're #1 in fresh cuts and friendly service.
Acre Station Meat Farm, Highway 32 North, Pinetown.
In Eastern North Carolina, people appreciate things that are straightforward, honest, and dependable. For decades, our team has focused on cutting through insurance complexity for the communities we serve. And now, we're bringing that same mindset to our name. We're Flatlands Insurance Group, a simpler name that reflects the same local team, the same values, and the same commitment to the great communities we feel blessed to be a part of. Flatlands Insurance Group, your whole world is covered.
Make every day electric on the Kawasaki Electro 20 electric balance bike. Maximize the fun with long run times, impressive top speed, and Kawasaki build quality. Easy adjustability and smooth handling make everyday riding more enjoyable. And the standard MTB type tires provide off-pavement capability. The Kawasaki Electro 20 is the electric balance bike that's built to rip. Go to Ron Ayers Motorsports, Memorial Drive north of the airport, Greenville.
Inner Banks Media presents the return of Concert on the Common.
This year, we're live from the tailgate lot at Dowdy-Ficklin Stadium.
Coming up May 21st, Trial by Fire, a tribute to Journey.
Join us Thursday, May 21st for Trial by Fire at the new Tailgate Plaza next to Town Bank Tower at Dowdy-Ficklin Stadium.
Details at concertonthecommon.org.
Remember, get the podcast of the show on the IBX Media app or where you get your podcasts.
Good. You don't have to tell me twice. I remember it exactly.
Steve Igo and Voice the Colors on 93.3 The Game.
All right, welcome back in segment 3 here on HTC. Basketball heavy show. Yeah, it's May 14th. Yeah, we're talking Pirate Hoops. It's been, to me, a very exciting offseason. And if you've been following along, you can understand why Pirates have made some big additions in the portal. We'll see how it all shakes out once the season gets here. We're going to hand out some early signing day superlatives here with Philip Pilkington and I. We've got 5 to run through here, early superlatives and kind of a look ahead to the season, so to speak. Our favorite recruiting pickup, we just ran them all down, Philip. Who is your favorite addition of this class?
We got a 7'1" guy who's an athlete. Give me Klitschko. I mean, oh my goodness. Are we finally going to have, when I was here, it was always a bunch of big, foreign, unathletic, awkward dudes. I think we got a big, foreign, athletic guy that has footwork and athletic blood. We've never had this before.
And he's the son of a multiple-time world heavyweight boxing champion. What are the odds that Vitaly Klitschko actually shows up? I mean, he is the mayor of Kiev, so I think the odds are probably slim, but just give me one game, man.
Yeah, a lot of stuff going on over there right now. So, maybe by the end of the season, maybe I don't know how he classifies class-wise. I guess once this new thing passes, it would be 5 years after his 19th birthday, so he'd still be a little ways away from his senior year. So, but maybe if we get him for a couple of years and he does a senior day walk, maybe a couple of years from now, maybe Pop shows up for some senior day stuff. I don't know.
I am going to go with, I kind of hit at it earlier, I'm going to go Caden Cooper. I just think you have a versatile, athletic wing. This isn't going to be the most athletic team ECU's had. And outside of Jordan Riley, they weren't super athletic last year. But I like the fact that Cooper is a really good athlete. He can play multiple positions. He's going to block shots, steal, guard the other team's best player. And, that's going to be his job. Last year that was Jordan Riley, who was also trying to lead your team in scoring. I just think him being designated as that stopper is a big deal for ECU. And he's got a pedigree and background that proves he can do it. So I'm a huge fan of the Caden Cooper addition, along with the shooting, obviously, from several different guys. All right, who will be the team's leading scorer?
This might hint at how I'm going to answer the next question, or to the 2 questions from now, but I can't pick any of these shooters to go out and be the leading scorer until I've seen them shoot. Therefore, give me Caden Cooper. Give me the best athlete on the floor. East Carolina scores the basketball going to the rim, and I think he's going to be the best guy at it. Yes, he only averaged 9.7 a game last year, but I think, going to a place like ECU where, that's where we excel is guys going to the rim, I'm going with Cooper.
If Caden Cooper leads his team in scoring, is that a good or bad thing?
It means we ain't shooting the ball worth a damn, so it's probably a bad thing.
I'm going to go, I feel like the easy default answer is Bryson Blaine, so I'm just going to go with him. He's taking 8 to 10 threes a game at Charleston Southern, and I don't know if he's going to do that here. They may have to reel that in some, but as I look at this list, I think Jay Shane could make a jump. I do think, you have some guys here who are going to score in that 8 to 12 range, like Medley, Cooper, Watson, maybe Buchanan off the bench, maybe one of the bigs, but
Yeah, I think
I'm
Klitschko
gonna
will
go
average
with
that too.
Yeah. So I think Blaine's going to be your volume shooter, and at least he's proven he can do that. I mean, he's dropped like 43 in a game before, so the easy pick. But I'll roll with
Yeah,
it.
so
All right,
was Bam, but he
man.
was at the line for 40-some opportunities. So you know.
That's true. That was kind of a rare. That was an NBA helping him out, maybe. So who knows? Sixth man. Who's your sixth man off the bench? Your key guy off the bench?
I'm going to go Creasy because I think he is the other guy that brings you to the athleticism. I don't know if Coach Schwartz is going to want to start a guy who is a freshman just with how veteran this roster really is, but I think his upside will force Coach Schwartz to play him 22 to 25 minutes a game, and I think he's going to get only better as the year goes on. So, yeah, man, I think, by the time the end of the year, he might actually work his way into that starting lineup. However, with me going with why am I blanking, with Cooper being the leading scorer, yeah, then I'm going to go Creasy as kind of the sixth man there.
This is tough because, you have to project the lineup to a degree to get this right. But, hey, it's May 14th. We're all just kind of throwing darts here. I wonder if they bring Jay Shane off the bench to begin with. If I had to project the lineup now, I think you're starting Blaine at the shooting guard, Cooper at the wing, and probably Watson or Deloria at the 4. So, I think Woodard may be coming off the bench. But I'm going to go Jordan Buchanan. I think shooting – and just he's a guy who has proven he could shoot over multiple years. Division II, last I checked, it's the same ball. It's the same three-point line. I know he'll be facing much better players, but he has shot a high volume and converted at a high rate. So I'm going Jordan Buchanan as your three-point specialist off the bench.
It's funny you brought up the J thing because that's who I wanted to say. That's the one who made the most logical sense because, again, he profiles with so many different positions. But I was like, man, I know Coach Schwartz. And that's Coach Schwartz's boy. His boy is going to be in the starting lineup.
Yeah, I'm with you there. Biggest sleeper.
Oh, crap. I forgot.
You can go anywhere.
Sleeper when I was thinking we were going to top 200. I think you got to go Best as the sleeper, right? Just because of what you said. He's shown it. But right now we just don't have that much recent film on him. Didn't play a lot last year, like you said, on a bad Arizona State team. But it seems like every other one of these guys we're going to be talking about going into the preseason except for him. So, I guess there's a couple other guys too. But, I just think, the guy's coming from a Power 5 school, and we're not going to be talking about him.
Yeah. I think he's your clear answer. Just to give somebody different here, I'll go Ashton McCullough just because I know nothing about him. I heard a story that kind of basically some of his recruiting tapes got wiped out by almost by accident or by an angry parent or something. So I don't know if anybody has a chance to really recruit him. Obviously ECU recruited him. They did find some tape somewhere. They like what they got. He's coming from Schwartz's area in LA. He is a bigger guard who can play the point. So maybe Ashton McCullough can be, I'm not going to say the next Tristan Newton who goes on to win a national championship at UConn, but he was from El Paso, Texas. Nobody knew anything about him outside of the fact he dropped a ton of points in high school. McCullough, we don't even have any stats. So he is the true sleeper in that if he scores at all, he kind of surpasses expectations.
I know. As I was saying that Best is our only true sleeper, I was like, and I was starting to think about McCullough's story, and that's when I was like, I guess there's one other guy, but I think there's the only two you can name. We're going to talk about everybody else.
Yeah, and if I had to project he's the only guy that I just don't know. Him and Dahi coming off injury.
Yeah.
Do they even play at all? I don't know. I'm sure they'll get some minutes, but in terms of actual meaningful play, I would say. All right. Number 5, this is kind of a sad one, but I ran the numbers earlier this year. ECU has not finished in the top 200 nationally in three-point conversion percentage since 2014-15. They've been, I guess it would be over 300 plus the last 5-6 years. Will the 2026-27 East Carolina basketball Pirates finish in the top 200 in three-point shooting efficiency, Phillip?
Those numbers are from March of 2015, which means Cam Newton had not yet won the MVP. Barack Obama was still the president of the United States, and I'm sure I could come up with something else, maybe what the number one movie or song was, but it was something that came out a long time ago. Considering all that, they've got no reason for me to say they are going to finish top 200 in the country in three-point percentage, so I'm going no.
That would 100% be the favorite answer. I'm looking at this list. All right, Blaine is a proven shooter, and I consider like anything around 35% at the D1 level, proven shooter. Proven shooter, he shot 35% last year. Kasim Watson, 38% on pretty high volume. To me, that proven shooter. I mean, outside of that, you do have Buchanan. I mean, I think with the volume overall, he's probably a proven shooter at D2, and I think that translates some. That gives you 3 proven shooters. Medley's okay. That's 3.5. Outside of that, you hope Cooper knocks down some. You hope Best becomes more of a shooter than he got the opportunity to be at Arizona State. But outside of that, it's just like, is Creasy going to be able to translate 38% in high school to this level? Maybe. So they've got a shot, Phillip. I think they're top 250. I can't give them top 200, though.
I was about to say,
I'm not ready for that.
I was going to say, out of all the guys you just named, they've played a combined 1 game in Minji's Coliseum.
You are right. That would be Bryson Blaine. In that game, he did make several 3-pointers, though, and he shot. His
the opposing team always does.
Top 200. Yeah, that is true. I mean, they have a shot for the first. I mean, that's the thing. Last year, this time, they didn't have a shot because of how the roster was constructed. And this year, I feel like they've got a legitimate chance to finish in that mix. And they don't have an Akeem Richmond. He was on the roster the last time ECU cracked that list. He basically took all the threes. But they have 3 or 4 guys who can make some shots. So we'll see, man. Overall, I'm encouraged. But top 200, that's quite a leap to make. Let's get our final break in. We'll come back. We'll wrap up the show after this.
The power of savings is yours at Greenville Toyota with powerful deals on our huge selection of new Toyotas, like a Camry, $229 a month, or the all-new RAV4, $279. Don't miss the power of savings at Greenville Toyota.
In Eastern North Carolina, hard work matters, and it always has. At Flatlands Insurance Group, we've been showing up for our neighbors since 1963, helping families and business owners navigate change, weather tough seasons, and keep moving forward. Decades later, our purpose hasn't changed: to help protect what you've poured your time and energy to, from your home to your health to whatever comes next. Flatlands Insurance Group, your whole world covered.
Need cash for a vacation? National Finance Company is here to help. For over 50 years, National Finance Company has been the small loan specialist with loans from $1,000 to $5,000 with low payments to meet your budget. We're in the business of getting you the cash you need today. Apply online for a loan at one of our convenient branch offices and get your money as fast as today. It's easy. Get the vacation cash you need. For extra cash, visit nfcmoney.com.
Your future is full of possibilities, and Pitt Community College can help you explore every option. You can earn a degree, learn a trade, transfer to a university, or launch a new career. We offer the support you need to succeed with flexible schedules, affordable tuition, and programs designed for the real world. Your path, your future, your college. Pitt Community College. Register now.
Visit Larry's Steakhouse for a tender, hand-cut certified Angus ribeye. Other entrees include perfectly seasoned pork chops, chicken, or seafood favorites like shrimp, tuna, and salmon. Complement your meal with Larry's fresh 20-plus item salad bar, or enjoy it as an all-you-can-eat entree. Daily rotating favorites include meatloaf, chicken pastry, hamburger steak, spaghetti, pork chops, and more, all complemented with your favorite country sides. Whether it's for lunch, dinner, or our Sunday brunch, remember to support and eat local. Larry's Steakhouse.
A hunting and fishing event of the summer comes to the Greenville Convention Center, July 11th and 12th, bringing together the best hunting and fishing vendors, outfitters, and fishing experts, all under one roof. Special free events, including a mountain trout pond, indoor archery range, offshore fishing experience, interactive duck blind, and free seminars. Don't miss it. The Mid-Atlantic Hunting and Fishing Expo is July 11th and 12th.
With new Toyota trucks from $259 a month, you've got the power of savings at Greenville Toyota. Drive Tacoma's $259 a month or Tundra's only $399 a month at Greenville Toyota, where our volume saves you money.
We're live with Steve and Igo on 94.3 The Game.
Hoist the Johnny Roger!
Now, back to Hoist the Colors.
Final segment here, Hoist the Colors on a Thursday. Some comments from the chat here. We have Kenny Curlin saying that anything is better than last year's team, so he's encouraged about what has happened thus far. Cameron adds, at least on paper, this ECU basketball team looks better than last year, but how much better is TBD. Davy Jones adding, I like Coach Schwartz and hope this new team shows his coaching style is more positive than some thought after last year's record. Coaches coach, but players play. He also adds, North Carolina is in the middle of basketball territory. ECU deserves a good competitive basketball team. Could not agree more, Davy Jones. And as we talk a lot of ECU basketball today, Philip Pilkinen with us rejoins us. You know, coaches do coach, but they got to put together the roster as well. And I just think Coach Schwartz, you know, bringing back Nick Mattson, Coach Gray from Western Carolina, the staff has done a really good job building a roster that fits together better. Now it's just a matter of how it all comes together. How does it all – and it's going to take time. It's not going to work overnight, but or not be 100% efficiency overnight, but they have a shot. Polak adds, how does this 2026 team compare to the 2025 team from a financial standpoint? The investments University is making in NIL for this roster, is it the same? I've heard this year they're actually spending a touch more. Still not anywhere near the top of the league, Philip. You know, I've heard like UNCW is spending $3 to $4 million on basketball alone. That's a lot of money. ECU is probably more in the 1.5, maybe $2 million. Probably not quite there, honestly. But I haven't gotten an official word. This is just me speculating. I think most of the teams in the American are spending at the top, you know, well over $2 million. So you still have to have fair expectations, but I do feel like just the allotment of money, hopefully, and I do think it was better utilized this time rather than spending a bunch of money on, you know, some of the guys that we saw last year flame out.
Yeah, I think their money's probably a little evenly more distributed. And look, you can tell when it's a competent basketball team, right? There are teams that are going to spend more. And if we go out there and they just clearly look more talented than us, but we still look like a talented basketball team, you can at least go out and be like, hey, you know what? Coach Schwartz spent his money well. We just got to find a way to get more money. And you can live with that defeat, right? You can live with going out there and be like, wow, South Florida, which is rumored to have $8 million just for basketball, man, that's an at-large team. You know, if one of those happens, you know, it is what it is. The thing is competing with teams that are at the same payroll as you. And, you know, Stephen, if I had to guess, the bottom 6 to 8 teams in the conference are probably going to be there in that 1.5 to $2 million range. Yeah, it sounds like from what we understand, Charlotte is a little higher, maybe close to double that from the rumors I've heard. Don't know how true that is. Again, South Florida, you know, Wichita I'm sure will invest pretty heavily. But, you know, the teams that are around you just got to go out there and you got to be able to beat the teams that, you know, are playing in the same ballpark as you, I guess. And, you know, if you can't beat the teams better than you, at least go out there and look competent on the court and look like you belong. And if they're better, you tip your cap and you walk off the court.
And the other side of this, specifically this year, is going to be non-conference play for me. Yeah, obviously conference will matter, but like App State, UNC Greensboro, those games, I believe ECU is going to both those venues this year after losing to each of them at home last year. Yeah. You will get Richmond at home this year. I would think Richmond probably outspends ECU in basketball. I don't think they put a ton of money into their FCS football program. You get UNCW at home this year. Now they're spending more, but I think you're at least within the realm of possibility of obviously, you know, having the talent to win that game. So I'm looking at the non-conference schedule. They can't have any Charleston Southerns, you know, Bryson Blaine, you know, so be it. But like any of those games, they've just had too many of those. You got to win those games and then hopefully improve throughout the year. But the non-conference will be interesting because they got to find the balance between making it a tougher schedule like last year, but also you don't want to kill your team's confidence early. So I'm curious to see what non-conference looks like.
Yeah, I think the good thing is, you know, like you said, you're going to play teams that are kind of, you know, compatible to you, maybe a little less, and teams like App and UNCG. But, Richmond and Wilmington, that's kind of a good measuring stick, right? And you'll have your UMass, and you'll have a couple of those teams. But also, like you said, you got to challenge your teams. You don't want to go out there against South Florida and that be by far the best team you've seen all year. But you also don't want to play, Michigan State, Carolina, and then also add in Duke, Houston, and Illinois. Not that I think they're going to, but you can't just go out there, like you said, and you can't walk into conference play with your tail tucked between your legs because you've lost the last 6 games by 30-plus points.
A lot of good basketball discussion today. Quickly, Philip, give me your prediction, ECU baseball at FAU, series prediction.
Last 5 weeks, FAU has won the first game of their series and the second game of their series. Same 2 pitchers on the mound. However, they haven't won a Sunday game since UMBC. The Pirates get it done in the Saturday game as the final game of the series, but they dropped the first 2.
I also have ECU going 1-2. I hope I'm wrong. I hope Scott Lorbatcher, who has ECU sweeping due to it being 85 degrees and sunny, is correct. If ECU goes 1-2, could be down in the 3, 4, maybe even 5 through 8 range of the conference tournament. So, big weekend, big week, a lot at stake starting tonight. ECU FAU 6:30 first pitch in Boca Raton. Check us out, 94 through the game. Dylan Johnson on the call. We'll be back tomorrow, Friday, 12 noon. See you guys then on HTC.